This makes me a rare soul, but I love the outdoors, and I intend to spend the rest of my life following that love of the outdoors and nurturing that in other people. And I could tell many stories about my own experiences of why I love the outdoors. I can tell experiences from the last 2 years of traveling through 26 states, over 11,000 miles in a 46-year-old motorhome with solar panels with my partner. Not business partner. And I could tell of magical showers after not properly bathing for 3 or 4 weeks at a time, or encounters with wildlife and even getting lost. But none of that felt right. Today is February 22nd, which is the day that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the governor of North Dakota wanted to set a deadline to evict the people of the Oceti-Sakowin resistance camp in the path of the Dakota Access Pipeline, where it threatens to cross the Cannonball River and threaten the drinking water, the sole source of drinking water for the Standing Rock Sioux and the drinking water of 18 million people. And I have been fighting this fight from a distance, right here in Ohio, for about 6 months now. The story of Standing Rock starts with about 500 years of genocide and killing and raping and stealing, kidnapping children, cutting their hair, forcing them into boarding schools far away from their parents, beating them if they pray to their God or sing their songs or try to escape. Many of them faced sexual assault, and those that did survive to come home to their families were so disconnected from their elders, they didn't know their stories, and they didn't know their songs, and all that spirit had been beaten out of them. But this is a story of resilience, and this is a story of resistance. And this chapter of Standing Rock was started by some incredibly hardworking, forward-thinking, bright, creative, devoted young people, younger than me, who have faced so much more oppression and suffering than I will probably ever face in my lifetime, and hopefully my children and my grandchildren will not either. Jaslyn Charger of the Cheyenne River Reservation lost 2 of her best friends to suicide in 1 week. And shortly after that, she banded together with other youths who, despite all their suffering, have some sense of meaning, some sense of purpose to keep fighting. And they started an anti-suicide awareness group. That eventually became more political and eventually led to a tiny little prayer camp in the path of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Billions of dollars had been spent building that pipeline up until that point, but it caught on in this last stand. Several hundred tribal nations from around the world came together, put aside their differences. Over 6,000 people at one time living in one place in what is technically anarchy. There was a medic team that treated over 1,000 injuries from police brutality from the Morton County Sheriff's Department and from the National Guard, and sometimes plainclothes officers of various branches of government. Not one person died, though it seems like there were some people trying their best to beat down these unarmed protesters standing up for their right to clean water, their right to sovereignty. And there's much inspiration, but there's also much grief in this story. 700 people roughly arrested for criminal trespassing on treaty land that was never taken away from them, but many treaties broken and many pipelines and many threats against their way of life. But they kept fighting. The children, the elders, the children and the teenagers, they came to, and the young adults, they came to their elders and said, what can we possibly do? They're just full of so much despair. What can possibly be done? And they said, you have to put your bodies on the line. So Graham Beale, also younger than me, and many other young people, they took up that challenge and they became known as runners. It's a traditional way of relaying messages from one tribe to the next. Before the days of text messages and Snapchat, you had to elect the strongest young people in your tribe to run from one point to the next, relaying a message to the next tribe. And that's what they did. Graham Beale ran from his reservation in Arizona to North Dakota. Others ran hundreds and thousands of miles in all from their reservations or wherever they lived to Washington, D.C., or to join in the fight at Standing Rock. People from all continents of the world coming together for clean water. And they faced so much police brutality, and people will still be studying this story years from now. I just know there's going to be college seminars and documentaries, but the media coverage was little to none. So a lot of this went under the radar. There is a similar fight going on about a year ago in Canada. Some indigenous-led resistance trying to erect structures solely to stop a pipeline project coming through their unceded territory, again, to protect clean water and wildlife, all of the life that water sustains. And then Canada, which is generally a nation seen as doing more to honor their First Nations people than the United States, they slapped them in the face with a bill that said if you're fighting back even through non-violent direct action, you could still be labeled as a terrorist, as an enemy of the state, which obviously had the results of thwarting these efforts, because you can simply be thrown in jail for being a terrorist when you're trying to defend your children and your grandchildren and your children's children's children, the 7 generations. And I was so full of outrage and knowing, but also so inspired by what people are doing in Canada and the United States and all over, especially with the youth. There was a school at the Oseti Cohen camp called Miniwachoni, which means water is life. And they taught the children about the power of prayer and the importance of clean water and all of the life that it sustains, and traditional way of life and survival skills, as well as their reading and writing. There was also a baby born. And I guess when I hear about these stories, it inspires me more than anything else. And it was about this time last year. I went out of the woods and I was thinking about this story in Canada, much like the story that's going on today. And a song just poured out of me. And I couldn't think of any other story that I could tell that was more pertinent and a better use of this platform, this stage here tonight with all of you fine folks. So I'll sing this song. It's called Man in a Suit, and it's an original. Man in a suit said I'm a terrorist, but we're protectors of our land, standing up for clean water. How to keep on standing up, keep on standing up, hey ho, keep on standing up, hey ho. Man in blue said I'm a criminal, but we are fighting for rights, rising up like our ancestors, and we'll keep on rising up, keep on rising up, hey ho, keep on rising up, hey ho. Man in green said I'm his enemy, but that's not how it looks to me. For we are ringing bells of freedom, and we'll keep on ringing on, keep on ringing on, hey ho, keep on ringing on. on marching on, hey ho. Man in a suit said I'm a terrorist, but we're protectors of our land, standing up for clean waters, and we'll keep on standing up, keep on standing up, hey ho, keep on standing up, hey ho.